Hello, this is my review of the Tarkine Giants. I did a review of the Tarkine Autopilot a little bit ago. I'll link it below. Tarkine is an Australian running shoe company. They will ship to the US, but they do not have any storefront at this point in time. Nobody that sells it here specifically. But I saw Phil Gore did a Ultra Backyard event and he used Tarkine product, so I bought 2 shoes from them just so I could check them out. This is the second pair. My apologies on it taking a little longer to get this one out, as I rolled my ankle on the trail run at the end of last month, or end of November. It's January now. The end of November, and needed a little time to recover to finish up the review. So this is my final thoughts on the shoe. A little bit of the deets. Sample size in a size 9 is 9.59 ounces. My size 12 came in at 12.7 on the left and 12.5 ounces on the right. The heel stack is 39 millimeter in the heel with a 6 mil drop. The upper is made from global recycled standard certified mesh. It combines sustainability and durability. It has some reinforced TPU overlays that add protection and structure around it. The outsole is an in-house rubber formulation from Tarkine. It has 4 millimeter lugs. It is meant to be durable and good on various terrains. The midsole is a high pressure, high temperature supercritical process of an EVA. So something that a lot of us runners are aware of is the EVA. It does have some compression to it, but overall it is an EVA type of foam. And right now the shoe is $151 on the Tarkine website, but if you keep your eye out, they do have shoes that come back on returns that they will then sell out at a lower cost. I haven't seen it for the Giants yet, but the Autopilots and some of the other brands, they do. It's probably just some time for the Giants. And overall fit is true to size. Testing conditions, I ran this shoe on dry, on wet, mix of dirt, mud, sand, roots, rocks, straights, curves, pretty much anything you can run on for a trail shoe. I hit it. I put 65 miles on the shoe. And just for the clarification on this review, I did purchase the shoe of my own money. So Tarkine is, I'm going to send my review to Tarkine for them to review, but they did not send any shoes for review. So I will get into the upper, the outsole, the midsole, and just my final thoughts on the shoe overall in the next. Okay, on to the upper. So the laces, they are fairly standard laces. Nothing dramatic about them, but they're good, they're solid, they stay tied, which is what you want from a lace. But also nothing extra special. It's not sawtooth or anything like that, but good solid lace for a $150 trail shoe. Tongue, so these shoes are fully gusseted, which is really nice. The tongue is nicely padded but not over padded. The collar around is nicely padded but not over padded, and the heel collar is structured but not rigid. It has some flex to it, but it's also got some structure to it, and my heel sat and seated down in the back of it very nicely. I had really good lockdown on these shoes. The upper mesh does have some ventilation on it. It breathed fairly well on my runs. I do not know how well it would do in 100-degree heat when we get to summer, but I was running in the 80s and probably I think the 90s too, and it did pretty well. So not a hot shoe, but probably also not a highly breathable shoe. It's a trail shoe, so it's meant for protection. Has the TPU overlays along it. Does a nice job. Toe bumper, nice protection for people like me who don't pick up their toes sometimes. It's nice to have that protection for the toes. The material is nice and soft. This is quite a comfortable shoe, especially at step in. It just hugs the foot, makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel protected, which is exactly what I want from my trail shoe. Toe room. I have nice toe room in it. It is not foot shaped, but I do have room for my toes to display without the shoe feeling loose. My feet did not slide around. They felt very good in the shoe. I can tell you on hikes and running, the upper was just very comfortable. So kudos on the upper. Now on to the outsole. So has an outsole rubber called Buff Grip, SRC. Not sure what the SRC stands for, but it is Tarkine specific compound. On dry conditions, it did great. I had no issues with the dry conditions. It had good grip on dry, sand, rock, dirt. Did a good job. The lugs dug in. My issue with the shoe is in wet conditions. I had some opportunities to run in some nice wet Texas dirt, and I can tell you that the shoe did struggle on uphills. It would just slip and slide. So I lost confidence in wet conditions. So I am not sure how it would handle on different terrains in different areas, but at least in the areas that I run in, it did struggle some in the wet conditions. And it's just one of those things. So when I pull a shoe out that has Vibram on it, and I walk just on my laminate shoes, the Vibram, you can actually hear it stick. It just pulls at the flooring. This one, it just walks along it. So you can just tell that there's a bit of a difference. I think they have a good pattern. I think they have a good idea, but I think they need to look at something to make this better in wet conditions. Now on to the midsole. Okay, now on to the midsole. They do have a nice stack with 39 millimeter in the heel and a 6 mil drop. The setup of the foam is great. The overall setup of this shoe is great. I wish I got a little bit more out of the foam. I can tell you I really liked runs from 6 to 8 to maybe up to 10, 12 miles. The shoe felt great. It'll make a great training shoe. I would not pick this for probably ultra distance actual runs, trail runs. For me, the foam kind of deadened out and flattened out, which is fairly consistent with supercritical EVAs in my experience, mostly on road shoes. They might be able to tweak this. This is the first version, so they might be able to tweak this a little bit more so that it can keep the bounce, because it does have some rebound, some response. And I can tell you, just within the 10 miles, it felt good. Hiking, it stayed good the whole time. So it's just something that the foam seems to lose something, seems to flatten out after long distance. I wish it just had a little bit more to it. Other than that, it's going to protect you. It's going to support you. If you like firmer rides, it may be of no issue to you. It might be the perfect compound for you. I like a little bit more bounce. I like something to help me, especially in those longer miles. As my legs get tired, the foam can then help rebound and push back and do some of the work for you. Not a lot, but some, or at least mentally, it's what you think it's happening. But overall, it's a good first iteration. The shoe the foam reminds me a little bit of Brooks Glycerin, I think Glycerin 20s, which was actually a favorite shoe of mine. So it's not that I don't like it, the foam. I just would prefer a different setup or a more bouncier, more responsive, supportive setup for long distance. But for training purposes, great. I mean, if I want to go out and do 8 to 12 trail miles, no issues on the shoe in dry conditions. So time for some final thoughts. Okay, some final thoughts on the Tarkine Giants. So I'll start with the two things that I hope on the next iteration they improve. So the first one is the outsole. I honestly think this is the most critical thing for them, because overall I think the setup of this shoe could be a great trail shoe, very competitive to other trail shoes in the similar price range. The thing that's going to hold us back is if it's not just my experience with the conditions in wet, this not being very, very good. If other people are having that same experience, they're going to remember it. So I'm hoping that they find a way to get a rubber that is more traction oriented in wet conditions. Because it was a little frustrating being out in the trails and losing confidence in it because of the slippage. I can expect on some larger inclines, some slippage, but I wasn't on very steep inclines and I was still having issues. So key number one improvement is traction on the outsole. And then second improvement I would hope for is maybe look at reformulating the foam, or a different type of foam, or just something that if you're going to use this for like ultra distances, which I would love to use this shoe for an ultra distance because of the setup of the shoe, just give me something that's a little bit more pleasant underfoot for long miles, something that doesn't flatten out after 12 miles. Other than that, this shoe, the upper for me is just on point. Love it. I love the structure of the shoe. It's stable but also flexible. For a trail shoe, it's fairly flexible. Not overly flexible, but with that solid piece outsole, you're going to maintain a pretty solid underfoot feel. But the shoe, I don't know how to explain it, but the bones, the structure of the shoe, I really like. Just want something I can trust a little bit more underfoot, and then give me a little bit in the foam. And I think this is a banger of a shoe if you do that. So that's about all I have for now. If nothing else, if you've never tried Tarkine, I suggest you give them a try. They do put their shoes at discounted prices, especially through their reused program. It does nothing but help you, and it gives you a great shoe. Especially the autopilot. I can't talk enough about the autopilot. It was a great shoe. They are I think, on the right track with this shoe. Just some improvements, which every shoe company goes through. So that's all I got for now. Again, hope you're having fun out in the trails. Hope you have a great start to the new year. Take care.